So we want to do one more contextual problem, so you can kind of see how all the parts kind of come together. So we're going to talk about our friend Paige, who's starting a summer lawn mowing business, and she has created a profit equation that relates her total profit to the rate she charges for mowing lawns. The rate and profit are both going to be measured in dollars, and they're going to be analyzed or related using the p of x function, negative x squared plus 40x minus 100. So the first thing we're asked to do is graph this function. In standard form right now, so looking at it, I can tell that the y-intercept is at 0, negative 100. That constant term is negative 100, so my y-intercept will be at 0, negative 100. The key features I'm going to need on this graph are going to be the maximum. I know it's going to be a maximum because my a value is negative, so the graph is going to open down. So I want that highest point, the vertex. And I also want my x-intercepts. As the questions go along, you'll see why those will become important. So I'm going to convert my standard form into vertex form using completing the square method, just so we can get a different look at what we learned in 16 and how it relates to what we're doing in 17, as you'll need to put both of those things together for the assessment. So starting in standard form, negative x squared plus 40x minus 100, I factored out the negative 1 from the first two terms. And kept the negative 100 off to the side. And then if you remember, we take half the middle term, so half of negative 40 is negative 20, and we square it. And that gets me positive 400. Now I can't just randomly add a number. I have to balance out the rest of this side of the equation. And keeping in mind that the coefficient is negative 1, I've actually subtracted 400, negative 1 times 400. So I need to make up for that negative 400 by adding 400. And then I'm going to simplify. The a value stays the same as negative 1. I completed the square, so I could take this down and factor it to x minus 20 squared. And negative 100 plus 400 gives me the 300. Now I'm in vertex form. I can look right at it and see that 300, which you did awesome on with the homework, is the vertex. So I can go back and plug in my maximum now at 2300. And I have another important point for this function. The last are the x-intercepts. So I'm going to, again, use the standard form this time. And we can use quadratic formula or completing the square. Whichever method you want to use, I'm going to use completing the square, just so we're getting used to doing that method, as that's how we convert from standard form to vertex form. So to find my zeros, my x-intercepts, it's going to equal 0. Negative x squared plus 40x minus 100. And I've already done the beginning steps to this. Taking out the negative 1 from the first two terms. Half that middle term squared. Making sure I balance the equation over here. And I'm right back to my vertex form, but instead of p of x, I have 0. So now I'm just going to solve for x. So I'm going to move the 300 over. I am going to divide both sides by -1. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And don't forget my plus or minus. I'll leave it as a square root of 300 right now. And then finally add 20 to both sides. So now I can branch off and get my two solutions. 20 plus the square root of 300 and 20 minus the square root of 300. So I will go back to the calculator for that. 20 plus the square root of 300 is 37.32. And 20 minus the square root of 300 it's going to be 2.68. So those are my zeros, my solutions, my x-intercepts. So 2.68 comma 0 and 37.32. So I have some good points now I can make my graph with. I know my max is going to be at 300. If I go by 50s on the y-axis, that'll get me there. And I'm going to go by 5s on the x-axis. So I know if my y-intercept is 0, -100. So if I'm going by 50s, that is right here. I have an x-intercept at 2.68 comma 0. I then get to my max at 2300. So going up 6 boxes. 37.32 comma 0. About right there. And if you want to be super symmetrical, be 40 -100. This allows me to fill out my graph of my parabola. Now we can fly through the rest of these questions. According to the function, what is her initial cost? So my initial cost is right here. I've mowed no lawns, so I haven't had any money, so I have spent $100. So my initial cost was $100. So in the contacts, she spent $100 on maintenance, gas, and advertising. between what prices does she make a profit? This is where our x-intercepts come into play. Because this is a profit equation, wherever the graph is above the x-axis, that's going to be profit. And then whenever it's below the x-axis, that's going to be loss. So between the two prices, so first price where she breaks even is when she charges $2.68 per mowing a lawn. And when she charges $37.32. So those are the prices in which she is making a profit. It's between those two prices, because if it was exactly those two prices, our x-intercepts tell us that she's going to make zero profit. So anything higher than 269, anything less than 37.32, will make her a profit. And finally, if she wants to make $275 in profit this summer, isn't this the right business choice? And this is where the max comes into play. She can definitely achieve that goal, as the maximum amount of money she could make is $300. That's if she charges $20 a lawn. So yes, this is the right business choice, because she can make more than $275, as proven by her profit equation. All right, that'll wrap up lesson 17. Again, shoot me any questions via email or Google Classroom. Hopefully you have the papers on graphing and the pumpkin launcher practice. If you can do the pumpkin launcher and understand what's going on there, you should be able to do quite well on the assessment. And I will await your reply on that, and then I'll send a brief video on the overview of the assessment, and that'll be the next thing. So you're ready for the end of the module assessment upon completion of lesson 17. Again, no homework unless you want to do some examples from the problem set, as you have the answer key. But that papers that come home, try your best to do those, and then if any questions arise out of there, that'll be the best way to fill in any gaps for you. Hope you're feeling well. Hope this distracts you a little bit. And keep on keeping on, and enjoy the weekend.